The Zarnak people thought it would be funny. They were a proud and serious alien race, tall with silver skin and glowing eyes. But they had a strange sense of humor. During a peace meeting with humans, they decided to play a joke. As a gift, they gave a small alien girl to a human soldier. They thought the soldier would be confused or even angry. Instead, he just smiled. The soldier's name was Daniel Carter. He was young, kind, and calm. He looked down at the little alien girl with soft green skin and large yellow eyes. She looked back at him with fear. She didn't understand what was happening. She had no name. She had no family. The Zarnak said she was unneeded. Daniel didn't ask questions. He knelt down and said, "You're safe now." He named her Lily. Lily stayed close to Daniel as they returned to the human ship. The crew was confused. Some laughed, others whispered. But Daniel didn't care. He found her some food. He gave her a warm blanket. He stayed with her while she slept. Over time, Lily began to trust him. The human ship, the HSS Liberty, was on a long journey across space. The crew explored planets and helped small colonies. Daniel was a guard, but he also helped in other ways. He was kind to everyone. He showed Lily how to read and speak English. She learned quickly. Months passed. Lily grew fast. She wasn't like human children. Her mind worked differently. She asked deep questions. She remembered everything. But she always stayed close to Daniel. He was a protector, her teacher, and the only family she knew. One day, a group of scientists visited the ship. They were curious about Lily. They asked to study her. Daniel said no. He didn't trust them. Lily was not a project. She was a child. The captain agreed with Daniel. Lily stayed on the ship. As more time passed, Lily began to help around the ship. She fixed machines and helped in the med bay. Her mind was sharp. The crew started to respect her. Some even called her a genius. But she didn't care about praise. She only cared about Daniel. Then one day, a message came from Earth. A high-ranking official wanted to meet Lily. The message said she might be important for the future. Daniel was worried. He didn't want to lose her. Lily saw his fear and held his hand. She said, "I won't go if you don't want me to." Daniel smiled but knew he couldn't keep her hidden forever. He told her, "If this is your choice, I'll be with you." They traveled to Earth together. The city was huge, filled with people and noise. Lily looked around with wide eyes. They were taken to a government building where many people in suits waited. A woman stepped forward. Her name was Director Palmer. She spoke kindly but watched Lily closely. Director Palmer told them that Lily was not just a gift. She was a key. She had something in her blood, something powerful. It could help humans and aliens understand each other, maybe even bring peace. Daniel didn't trust Palmer, but he listened. Later that night, Daniel and Lily talked. She was quiet. Then she said, "Do you think they gave me to you by mistake?" Daniel shook his head. "No, I think they didn't know what they were doing, but I'm glad they did." Lily smiled. "Me too." And so, the joke the Zarnak played started to become something else, something bigger. She was no longer just a gift. She was family. She was the future. Lyra felt peace in her heart. The fear was gone. She walked with her head high. The children laughed when she played with them. The townspeople smiled when they saw her. She helped with the gardens, cooked meals, and listened to the old stories. It was a simple life, but a happy one. Ethan often sat by the window and watched her. He remembered the first time he saw her, lost, afraid, and cold. Now, she was strong and full of light. He felt proud. He never asked for thanks. But every time Lyra smiled at him, it was enough. One morning, the wind was soft and the sky clear. Lyra took the quilt outside again. It had grown. More crystals shimmered on its surface. She added one more, a pale blue one, and it showed her teaching the children how to build a shelter using wood and leaves. The kids laughed in the memory. Lyra smiled. Ethan joined her on the grass. "That's a good one," he said. "They learn so fast," she replied. "I think they will teach others too, like you taught them." She looked at the quilt. "This is more than a memory cloth now. It's a storybook, my story. That evening, they sat by the fire. Lyra asked Ethan, "Do you think my people will really come?" "I think they will," he said. "You sent the signal." "They heard it." She nodded. "I hope they're not angry. I broke rules. I stayed." "You followed your heart," Ethan said. "That's never wrong." 2 days later, a bright light appeared in the sky. It moved slow and gentle, not like a warship. People from the town came to see. Children pointed. The light landed just outside the forest. Lyra ran to it. The ship opened with a quiet sound. 3 tall figures stepped out. They had glowing eyes and soft white robes. One of them called her name, Lyra of Yalari. She ran to them and hugged them. They looked surprised but smiled. They spoke with her in their own tongue. Then she turned to the crowd. "They are friends," she said. "They came in peace." Ethan walked slowly toward them. Lyra took his hand and brought him closer. "This is Ethan," she said. "He saved me when I was alone." The aliens looked at Ethan. One of them bowed. Then Lyra showed them the quilt. The crystals sparkled under the sun. The visitors touched it gently. Each crystal showed them a piece of her life. Kindness, warmth, learning, love. The leader said, "We see now. This place changed you. You found something rare." That night, the visitors stayed at the cabin. Ethan made a stew. Lyra translated. They asked about the humans, the seasons, the plants. They listened with open hearts. In the morning, they left a small box for Lyra. "This will let you speak to us again," they said. "And one day, we will invite you to our home." Lyra watched their ship rise into sky. She felt happy and sad at once. She looked at Ethan. "I didn't know what they would say." "And now?" he asked. She smiled. "Now I know I can have both. My people and my new life." She added a crystal to the quilt that evening. It glowed with the light of the alien ship and the memory of her standing between 2 worlds. The town people began visiting more often. They brought little things, a ribbon, a drawing, a dried flower. Lyra added each to the quilt. Every piece had meaning. Every patch was a step toward something bigger. Then, one day, a girl from the town came with a tear in her eyes. Her dog had died. Lyra sat with her, listened, and gave her a piece of the quilt to hold. It glowed faintly and showed the dog playing in the fields. The girl smiled through her tears. "How did it do that?" she asked. "The quilt remembers love," Lyra said. People began to call it the quilt of peace. A hall was built to protect it. Children told stories in front of it. Travelers came to see it. But Lyra always kept one patch for herself. The first one. On quiet nights, she held it close and whispered, "Thank you, Ethan, for finding me." The stars above watched, but down below, a simple quilt had become a symbol of hope and love forever. Lyra woke up early. The morning air was cool, and the sun was just rising. She stepped outside and looked at the hills. The grass was wet with dew. Birds chirped softly in the trees. The world felt calm. She picked up the small box the visitors had left her. It had a smooth surface and a single glowing button. She pressed it. A soft light appeared, and a voice spoke in her language. It said, "Message ready. Speak." Lyra thought for a moment, then said, "I am well. Earth is kind. I am learning much. Thank you for not forgetting me." The light blinked and faded. The box made a quiet sound and turned off. She held it close and smiled. Later, in the town square, children were waiting for her. It was her turn to tell stories at the hall. The quilt of peace now hung behind glass. People came from other towns to see it. Some asked how it worked. Others just sat and watched the lights. Lyra stood in front of the quilt and touched a patch. A glowing image appeared. It showed her and Ethan walking to the woods. The children gasped. "This one is my favorite," she said. "It was the first time I saw snow." The children asked many questions. How cold was it? Did the snow taste like sugar? Did she fall down? Lyra laughed. "Yes, I did fall. Many times. Ethan helped me up. Every time." The children laughed too. After the story, a woman came up to her. She was new in town with a baby in her arms. "I heard about you," she said. "They say you help people feel safe." Lyra smiled. "I try. Could you add something for my daughter? Her father passed away last month. She never met him. Lyra looked at the baby, who was sleeping. She nodded. Give me something small. A button, a thread, anything. The woman gave her a tiny blue ribbon. Lyra added it to a blank patch that night. It glowed, and a new memory formed. It showed the woman holding the baby under a tree, whispering a song. Ethan watched from the door. Another gift? Yes, Lyra said. A new story for the quilt. Ethan sat beside her. Do you ever think about leaving? Going back with your people? She was quiet. Then she said, sometimes, but not yet. There's more I want to learn here. More I want to give. Ethan nodded. I'm glad. Selfishly. Lyra touched his hand. This is my home, too. You are part of my story. The next day, a group of older people from another region came to see the quilt. One of them said, we fought in the last war. We never thought peace like this was possible. Lyra listened carefully. Peace begins with one kind act, then another, and another. The man nodded. You've made something strong from something simple. Later that week, the small hall held a festival. There were songs, food, and laughter. Lyra danced with the children. Ethan played an old guitar. People clapped and cheered. At the end of the day, everyone gathered around the quilt. A boy stepped forward and said, I want to add something. My dog gave me courage when I was sick. He died last year, but I still dream of him. He gave Lyra a small stone from the dog's favorite spot. She added it to the quilt. A soft glow showed the boy and the dog running in a field. That night, the stars were bright. Lyra and Ethan sat by the fire. Do you think the quilt will ever be full? Ethan asked. Lyra shook her head. No. As long as people care, it will grow. He looked at the glowing patches. Then it will grow forever. She nodded. That's the hope. Lyra held the box from her people again. She thought of sending another message. Instead, she whispered to the stars. I am not alone. I have love. I have stories. I have peace. The stars said nothing, but their light shined brighter. And the quilt, lie between two friends by the fire, glowed with the memories of kindness. It was still growing. It always would. The days grew warmer, and the town felt alive. Flowers bloomed, birds sang, and laughter filled the air. Lyra walked through the market, smiling at the people. She stopped to help an old man carry fruit. She listened to a young girl sing a song she had written. Everything felt full of light. In the town hall, the quilt of peace glowed softly behind its glass case. Visitors came from far away now. Some came alone, some with family, and some with sorrow in their hearts. But all of them left with hope. One afternoon, a man named Colin arrived. He was quiet and kept to himself. He wore a heavy coat, even though the sun was warm. He stood in front of the quilt for a long time. Lyra noticed him, but said nothing at first. Later, she saw him again, sitting under a tree. She walked over and sat beside him. Hello, she said. He nodded. This place is quiet, peaceful. She smiled. Yes, it helps people heal. He looked at the sky. I used to be a soldier. I saw too much, lost too much. I came here because I didn't know where else to go. Lyra listened. She did not speak. She simply waited. Colin took something from his pocket. It was a torn piece of cloth. This is for my brother's scarf. He died in a battle far from here. He always said, remember the good days. Lyra gently took the cloth. Would you like to add this to the quilt? Colin's eyes filled with tears. He nodded. That evening, Lyra added the cloth. The patch glowed and showed two young boys playing in a river. One of them laughed and splashed water. The other fell in and came up smiling. Colin stood in front of it for a long time. That was the last good day, he whispered. Thank you. Lyra nodded. Your memory is safe now, and it helps others too. As the days passed, more people brought pieces for quilt. A mother brought a drawing from her son. A baker added a small wooden spoon. A teacher placed a broken pencil with a smile. Each patch glowed and told a story. Ethan built a bench near the hall. He wanted people to sit and rest. He painted it blue and wrote, Sit here and remember. One morning, Lyra found Ethan sitting on the bench with a book. He looked up and smiled. "You're always working," he said. She laughed. "I like to help." "I know, but today I want to show you something. Come with me." He led her through the forest path. Birds flew overhead, and soft light came through the trees. They reached a small hill. At the top was a circle of stones. In the center, flowers grew. "What is this place?" Lyra asked. "A memory garden." Ethan said, "For you, for the quilt, for the people. Anyone can come here. Anyone can plant something." Lyra felt tears in her eyes. "It's beautiful." Ethan gave her a small seed. "Add your own." She planted it in the soil. "For the day I found a home." They sat there for a while, watching the wind move the flowers. Back in the town, the Festival of Lights was coming. People hung lanterns and painted signs. Lyra helped a group of children make paper stars. They laughed and painted their hands and left prints on the walls. The night of the festival, the town glowed. Every house had a light. Music filled the streets. People danced and sang. Lyra wore a dress made from old cloth pieces, each one a memory. At the end of the night, everyone gathered at the hall. The mayor stood up and said, "We have seen wars and loss, but we also see love and hope. The quilt of peace is not just cloth. It is our heart, and it grows because of people like Lyra." Lyra stepped forward. "This quilt is not mine alone. It is yours. Every story, every tear, every smile, thank you for sharing them." The crowd clapped. The quilt glowed brighter than ever. That night, Lyra sat on the bench. Ethan joined her. "You've changed this town," he said. She looked at the stars. "This town changed me." The wind was soft. The stars were clear. And in that small town on a quiet night, the world felt full of promise. The quilt rested in its case, still growing, still glowing, with love stitched into every thread. A quiet morning came after the festival. The town was still asleep. Only the birds were awake, singing softly from the trees. Lyra sat on the bench near the hall, looking at the quilt through the glass. The memories inside it shimmered faintly in the early light. She felt something in her chest. It was not sadness, but a gentle pull, like a voice calling far away. She opened the small box from her people and held it in her hands. For a moment, she didn't move. Then she pressed the glowing button. "I want to visit," she said. "Just for a while. I want to see my home again." The box blinked. A soft voice replied, "We will come. Soon." That evening, Lyra told Ethan. They sat by the fire outside the cabin. "You're going back?" he asked quietly. "Only to visit," she said. "I feel ready now. I want to see where I came from. But I will return. This is still my home, too." Ethan nodded. "I understand. I'll miss you, though." She smiled and touched his hand. "I'll miss you, too." A week later, the sky lit up with soft silver light. A ship landed quietly in the clearing. 3 familiar figures stepped out. They bowed to Lyra. "We welcome you, Lyra of Yulari. Come and see what has changed." Lyra hugged Ethan. "I'll be back soon. Take care of the quilt." "Always," he said. The ship rose slowly and disappeared into the clouds. The journey felt strange. Lyra looked out the window as stars passed by. She thought about the children, the garden, and the little stone bench. She held her first quilt patch in her hands, close to her heart. When the ship landed, the world of Yulari looked different. It was still beautiful, green skies, tall trees, and glowing rivers. But something had changed. People came to greet her with smiles, not silence. She saw murals on the walls, pictures of stars, of peace, and even of a small human cabin. An elder spoke. "Your story has reached us. Your message of peace has grown." Lyra was surprised. "I didn't know anyone listened." "We did, and we learned." Some were afraid, but now many understand. They showed her a new building, a learning center. Children sat in circles, listening to stories. One wall had a quilt, smaller than hers, but glowing just the same. "You inspired this," the elder said. Lyra felt tears rise. She touched the small quilt. It showed her standing with Ethan under the stars. For the next few days, she shared her stories. She spoke about the people of Earth, about how kindness changed her life. Some people asked hard questions. Others gave her gifts, flowers, books, small memory stones. Then came the last night. The sky was full of stars. A group gathered around a fire. Lyra stood quietly. Then she said, "I am happy to be home, but my heart is in two places now. I will return to Earth, not because this place is not enough, but because my journey is not finished." The elder gave her a crystal. "Place this on your quilt. It is our memory of you." The ship carried her back, and the stars watched her once more. Ethan waited in the clearing. When the ship landed, he stepped forward quickly. "You're back," he said, trying not to show too much emotion. Lyra laughed. "Of course I'm back. I said I would be." They walked back to the cabin together. The town welcomed her with open arms. The children ran to hug her. The people brought food and gifts. Even the old man from the market brought her apples. That evening, Lyra added the crystal from Yulari to the quilt. A soft green light filled the hall. The memory showed her standing on her homeworld, smiling and speaking to her people. Ethan placed his hand on her shoulder. "It's good to have you home." Lyra looked around. "I have 2 homes now, and 2 families. But this quilt, this town, this cabin, they hold my heart." The stars were bright above them. The quilt glowed gently beside them. And in the quiet of the evening, the world felt complete once again. The leaves began to turn golden. Autumn had come to the town. The air was cooler now, and the wind carried the scent of fallen leaves. Lyra wrapped herself in a soft shawl and walked through the quiet streets. Children kicked leaves into the air, laughing. The market was full of pumpkins, jars of honey, and warm bread. She smiled at the familiar faces. She felt peace deep inside her. In the hall, the quilt of peace had grown larger. A new row of patches had been added. Each patch carried a story, some joyful, some sad, but all full of meaning. Lyra touched one patch. It showed a woman giving her last loaf of bread to a traveler. Another patch glowed with the memory of a child helping his friend learn to read. These were the quiet acts of kindness that shaped the town. One afternoon, a letter arrived. It was from a school far across the country. They had heard about the quilt and wanted to make their own. Lyra read the letter aloud to the townspeople. "They want to learn," she said. "They want to grow their own stories." Ethan nodded. "Then we should go and help." The town agreed. They gathered cloth, thread, and memory stones. They filled a wagon with supplies. Lyra and Ethan set out with 2 others, ready to teach. The road was long. They passed rivers, forests, and villages. In each place, they stopped and shared the idea of the quilt. People listened. Some laughed. Some cried. All of them understood. When they reached the school, children ran out to greet them. The teacher, a young woman named Ruth, welcomed them with open arms. "We heard your stories," she said. "The children want to believe in peace. They want to share their lives, too." Lyra showed them how to choose a cloth, how to think of a memory, and how to press the memory stone. Soon, the patches began to glow. One boy shared a memory of his grandfather teaching him how to fish. Another girl showed her first day at school. A quiet boy offered a piece of ribbon from his mother's dress. Each one was added with care. At night, Lyra sat under the stars with the children. She told them how she first came to Earth, how she met Ethan, and how the first patch began everything. "I was afraid," she said, "but someone gave me warmth and kindness. That's all it takes to begin something beautiful." The children listened with wide eyes. The stars above twinkled softly. After a week, the school had its own small quilt. It was placed in the center of the room. The children promised to keep adding to it. Ruth said, "You've planted something strong. It will grow." Lyra and her group said goodbye. They returned to their town with warm hearts. When they arrived, the town welcomed them back with joy. The quilt of peace had grown even more while they were away. Visitors had come and shared their memories. The bench near the hall now had flowers planted all around it. Ethan sat on the bench and looked at the quilt. "You've started a wave, Lyra. It's moving across the land." She nodded. "But it's not mine alone. It belongs to everyone who believes in peace." A few days later, a young couple came to town. They had traveled far, holding a small bundle. It was their newborn child. "We want to add his first laugh to quilt," they said. Lyra smiled. "That's a beautiful gift." The couple placed a tiny sock on a patch. The memory glowed. It showed the baby giggling in his sleep. More people came with small and simple things. A button from a wedding coat, a dried flower from a farewell, a drawing from a child's hand. The quilt accepted them all. That night, Lyra walked alone to the quiet town. She stopped at the hall and looked at the glowing quilt. It looked like a sky full of stars, each one a story. Ethan joined her. "You okay?" She nodded. "I'm just thinking." "About what?" "How far we've come, how much we've shared, and how much more is still ahead." He smiled. "We're ready for it, whatever comes." They stood together in the glow of the quilt. Their hands joined, and the stories around them whispered of hope, of kindness, and of a future built from the hearts of many. The quilt still glowed, and it still grew. With each new memory, it reached a little further into the world. Winter came slowly to the town. Snow began to fall, covering the streets in soft white. The trees stood bare, and smoke curled from chimneys. Everything was quiet and still, like the world was holding its breath. Lyra stood by the window of the cabin. She watched the snow fall and smiled. The fire behind her gave warmth to the room. Ethan sat nearby, fixing a wooden toy for one of the children in town. "It's beautiful," she said. "Yes," Ethan replied. "Peaceful." Outside, children played in the snow, building snowmen and throwing snowballs. Lyra stepped outside and joined them. Her laughter echoed across the frozen fields. She helped a little girl make a snow angel and gave her a red scarf to stay warm. In the hall, the quilt of peace continued to glow. Even in winter, people came. Some walked long distances just to see it. They brought with them new stories, simple, strong, full of feeling. One old woman came with a music box. "My husband gave this to me 50 years ago. She said, it still plays our song." Lyra took it carefully and placed it on a new patch. The quilt glowed. The soft tune of the music box filled the room, and a memory appeared. It showed a young couple dancing slowly in a field, laughing in the sunshine. Tears filled the old woman's eyes. "Thank you," Lyra whispered. "Thank you for sharing." As the snow fell day after day, the town prepared for the longest night of the year. It was a special day now, a day to honor the stories in the quilt. They called it the Night of Light. Everyone in town lit candles and placed them in their windows. Children made lanterns from colored paper. People brought food to share. And in the town hall, the quilt of peace was at the center of it all. That night, the hall was full. Families sat close, wrapped in blankets. Lyra stood near the quilt with Ethan beside her. The mayor stepped forward. "We come together again. Not in fear, not in silence, but in hope. Because every patch in this quilt is a light. And together, they make the darkness smaller." Lyra looked at the glowing quilt. "These stories live on. Because of all of you. Because you believe in sharing, in kindness, and in peace." One by one, people came up to add new patches. A boy gave a paper star he made for his sister. A man added a key from his first home. A woman brought a shell from the beach where she said goodbye to her father. Each patch glowed. Each story joined the others. At the end of the night, the hall dimmed its lights. Only the quilt glowed now. It shimmered like the night sky, filled with colors and warmth. People sat quietly, watching it. No one spoke, but everyone felt the same thing, a deep connection to one another. Ethan leaned close to Lyra. "Do you think this will reach even more places?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, I believe it will, like stars, each one sending light to someone far away." After the celebration, Lyra returned to the cabin. She looked up at the sky and saw the stars shining brightly. She held her old patch close, the very first one Ethan had given her when she was lost and cold. "So much has changed," she whispered, "but one thing stayed the same, the kindness that started it all." Inside the cabin, Ethan was already asleep in his chair. She placed a blanket over him and sat by the fire. She closed her eyes and smiled. In the months that followed, messages came from other towns, even from across the sea. They asked for help to start their own quilts. Lyra and Ethan sent memory stones, pieces of fabric, and simple instructions. They received pictures too, small quilts with new colors, new stories. Some from mountain villages, others from desert towns, and even one from a space station orbiting far above Earth. The quilt had grown beyond the hall, beyond the town. One morning, Lyra placed a final patch on the quilt in the town hall. It was a golden thread shaped like a circle. "What does it mean?" a child asked. "It means the story never ends," Lyra said. "It keeps going, as long as someone remembers, as long as someone cares." And so it did. The quilt of peace became more than fabric. It became a symbol, a message, a light for all who needed it. And in a small town, where the snow still fell gently, a cabin stood warm with laughter and love. Inside it, 2 hearts beat with the memories of many. The stars above still watched. But now they were not alone, because peace had found a place on Earth, and it would stay